Let me show you three photographs. There is a similarity between them, and that is that they were taken by India's most famous 19th century photographer, Raja Deen Dayal.
Not a Raja by birth, but definitely one in skill and brilliance. Raja Deen Dayal is still kept alive over 100 years since his death by his immortal photographs taken of India in the 19th century. Subscribe and then let's talk about it.
Lala Deen Dayal was born in 1844 in Uttar Pradesh to a family of jewelers. He was smart growing up. In fact, he attended Thompson College of Civil Engineering in Roorkee, which is now IIT Roorkee.
After he started working, as a hobby, he took up photography. But the thing about being a photographer in the 19th century is that you need the support of a patron.
That patron was Maharaja Tukkoji Rao of Indore. He was in fact encouraged by a lot of people as a photographer in demand at that time.
His story goes on and on, but the only thing that we need to know is that he was the court photographer of the 6th Nizam of Hyderabad.
There is a famous portfolio of 86 photographs known as the famous monuments of central India. This was taken by Deen Dayal.
While researching for this video, we realized that these 86 photographs were the first ever compilation of monuments in India. Well, until then, some photographers had taken individual pictures of the Taj Mahal and other monuments, but none in such an extensive portfolio like Deen Dayal.
The thing that made him different was his courage to go out and try new things.
So see, a usual photographer of the 19th century would usually just do one thing, either landscape photos or portraits. Deen Dayal did them all. He travelled across the country to get photographs in different parts, but more importantly, of different things.
Like this. This is a portrait of the Nizam of Hyderabad. And then here is a picture of the 1,000-pillar temple in Andhra Pradesh. Now in those times, 2 photographers would have had to take this. But this man did it alone.
What really makes him great was the opportunities he gave to young photographers who wanted to specialize in that industry.
He set up over 50 studios around the country for people to learn photography, and also as a way of removing people from poverty by giving them a job.
Some of his most famous works came in Hyderabad when the Nizam made him the court photographer. He came up with unique angles to take pictures of the palaces, and he gave a glimpse to the ordinary man as to what it looked like inside a palace.
He was praised then and he is praised now. In fact, a former union minister even went on to say that even in today's digital age, many can't match his skill.
That gives us a lot to think about. What was so special about him? He did click some pictures of kings and palaces, but what was his wow factor?
The answer was his brilliance and people skills. He was able to take such flattering portraits that he convinced the Nizam and even the British to give him large grants to set up studios in Hyderabad and Mumbai.
In the 19th century, getting money to create photography studios of all things was absurd to most, but Raja Deen Dayal was determined as ever to get it done.
These pictures probably won't do justice to the man's skill and brilliance, but it's the only way of keeping him alive 100 years later. Just give it a thought though, if someone 100 years later with all the advances in technology says that this man is better than most modern day photographers, that should speak lengths about him. When we read about him, we realized he's more than just a good photographer. He was someone who was determined to do his best in whatever he set out to do. See, no one had made picture studios the size that he wanted to, but he dreamt big and he made it happen.
He wanted to travel around the country to get photographs, and he did so, which was very difficult in those times.
And these pictures are not just imprints on glass, they serve a purpose. They tell us about the world at the time, and they literally give us the wider angle. They give us an insight into the art and culture of the time and provide a testimony for historians.
No other photographer in India has come close to the type of fame which Raja Deen Dayal got. Maybe in the future there will be another name, but we must not forget where the story began.